Hey guys, Dave and Todd with Airspool here in our continuance for our quest of solar-powered air conditioning and heating. Today we're going to talk about something called EVI, or Enhanced Vapor Injection. And that's something that allows this unit to get to minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit outdoor temperature and still provide you with heating. And so what sort of happened to get to this point? Heat pumps used to be, people had heat pumps and they're okay, we can heat down to like 35, 40 degrees. But after that, we certainly have to have supplemental heating. And that's changed in the last couple of years with inverter compressors. Our inverter compressor unit could get down to around 15 degrees. And now this year, 2025, our 32 refrigerant gets down to 5 degrees. But this EVI is a whole new thing from going to 5 to minus 22. That's, my math is right, that's 27-degree jump in extra heating capacity, okay? And so what is this EVI stuff? How does it work? That's what we'll be talking about. So EVI units like this one have this extra heat exchanger right here. Okay, so the refrigerant comes from the indoor unit, which the indoor unit acts as the condenser in heating mode, okay? So it's super warm refrigerant comes into the indoor unit and it changes state from a hot gas to a hot liquid when it goes through the wall unit. Like maybe you can point to this one on the wall here, Mont. So that in the wintertime, what would be coming into there would be a hot gas, and that would be changing to a hot or warm liquid, and that comes through this tube and shell heat exchanger here, and it divides up such that part of it becomes super cold, like when you have a spray can and you feel it, maybe you've sprayed a spray can, it feels cold, and that's like the liquid inside the can is changing state from liquid to gas. Same way here in Las Vegas when it's 4% humidity in the summertime and it's 108 degrees outside, you got to the pool and you're actually cold because that water on your skin is changing state from a liquid to a gas. So all air conditioning works that same way. So inside of here, except these are, of course, the refrigerant is closed loop, not open loop like if you're getting out of the swimming pool or whatever. But the refrigerant here, some of it's changing state on one side of the barrier to become a gas. And that, again, when it changes state from liquid to gas, becomes super cold. And what does that do? On one side is the warm liquid, on one side is the cold gas. Heat goes from hot side to cold side. So there's this heat exchanger, the warm liquid, the hot liquid becomes now just warm liquid. It cools off at 20 degrees or something like that, which is good news because you want colder refrigerant before you go through this expansion device and go to the outdoor unit, because the colder the refrigerant can be in the wintertime, the more heat it can soak up. So you can think it's minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. How much heat really is there outside? Well, it's all relative to absolute zero, right? So there still is heat out there even at minus 22. And so this gets the liquid refrigerant before it goes through the expansion device, another expansion device, where it goes from the main expansion device, where it goes from liquid to a gas. It changes that to be even colder, and so the gas inside of here is, in the wintertime, to be even colder. It's going to soak up more of that heat. All right, and meanwhile, okay, so that's the liquid refrigerant before it goes into the outdoor unit here. What about the gas on the other side that's going back to the compressor? Well, that's getting warmed up by making the refrigerant on the other side of the barrier colder, and that's good news because the compressor here is becoming warmer. You can imagine a machine trying to do compression when it's getting refrigerant back, and that's about minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Ain't going to happen. Not going to happen very easily. So this pre-warms up the compressor such that when the refrigerant comes back, main refrigerant loop comes back to the compressor, it mixes, and so now you're running at a little bit higher temperature, a little bit higher pressure, both of which are good to allow the compressor to run. And with all that said, Todd, walk us through some of the bits and bytes level here of what we're actually looking at.
Okay. Well, you have your connections here from the indoor unit. When the indoor unit in heat mode is going to be your condenser. So it's condensing it to a liquid, like Dave said. And so the liquid comes back in this line. It goes into the heat exchanger, does a loop, okay? And then there's a separator in here that allows some mist to come off. That creates the gas that comes back through the solenoid and it gets injected into the compressor, which raises the temperature of the gas coming in. It also provides subcooling to the liquid going to the EVAC coil. And that's what makes the compressor work not as hard and doesn't generate as much pressure because it's lowered the pressure a little bit on the subcooling. So it makes it more efficient.
So you can see, so this is the compressor back here. By the way, if you can turn over here, Ahmad. So this is a GMCC compressor. GMCC is Toshiba, and these things are ubiquitous worldwide. And so that's good news for you as a consumer because these they're GMCC inverter compressors. So this is pretty standard off-the-shelf technology here when it comes to the compressor and a lot of the other parts. The things that this has in it is the electronics that allow you to blend solar power with grid power and then always optimize to use solar first, etc. But basically, a lot of this is off-the-shelf technology, so that helps. And so there are multiple tubes coming into the compressor now, right, Todd? So point those out.
Well, this is the injector, the vapor injection, enhanced vapor injection. They just split it off into two so it covers more area at the base of the compressor. This is an accumulator. This is where the excess liquid gets stored when it's in heat mode. Because the units use more refrigerant and cooling than they do heating. So every heat pump has to have one of these.
And that's because you can't have
liquid going to the compressor. It will damage the compressor. So this ensures that you don't get liquid to the compressor.
Right. And then, do you want to talk about these or the metering devices of how the refrigerant goes through?
One of the things that makes the inverter heat pump more efficient is the electronic expansion valve, EEV they call it. And this is very, very accurate, way more accurate than a mechanical valve, the old sensing bulb to change the pressure to open or close the valve. These are way more accurate and they're controlled by the electronics on the unit. So this makes it more efficient as well. What else you want to know?
What else? So hopefully that makes sense. So you have this refrigerant. You're taking some of it to make the liquid refrigerant colder, and you're taking I don't know what percentage, but a small percentage to make the liquid refrigerant that came in, changing state of that and making that into a gas and warming up that gas. So you have a little bit of gas coming in through the compressor that is warmer than it would be than if it just came up just from this outdoor unit here. And so this is the same thing, only different. This is a 12,000 BTU unit, and this is 24,000 BTU unit. So, yeah, what else do we need to talk about here, Todd? So, if you have questions, this is a new topic for us. We're pretty happy to have this product now because before we couldn't really serve that much of the U.S., but being able to get to minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit in heating mode is
phenomenal.
Really phenomenal. And so you can see the appeal now of heat pumps and why they're starting to become more mainstay, because before they were kind of a sideshow, right? But now this can be your main source of both heating and cooling. And yeah, we're going to continue working on it. If you got anything from this video, give it a thumbs up, give a comment. If you know more about this than we do, we're happy to get your input and have some discussion about it. And we're Airspool. We talk about solar, talk about air conditioning, and in this case, heating. And we talk about solar, air conditioning, and heating. If any of that interests you, subscribe to the channel, which is appropriately enough called Airspool. Thanks for your time.